Hello everyone, welcome back.
Hi guys.
It's been a little while, hasn't it?
A short while, yeah.
A tiny while.
I went away from you,
yeah,
but I've come back, so it's fine now.
So today, Dan, what are we doing?
We are doing our 5 favourite formal fragrances.
Yeah.
And also, I think maybe a slightly different slant on this traditional video, in that both of us spend quite a lot of time performing, so we spend time in black tie, in white tie, or you know, on stage and things like that.
Those very shiny shoes that I don't wear any other time of year.
Yeah, so we wear that quite a lot, and because we're dressed up like that quite a lot, I certainly have fragrances which I kind of choose for those occasions. And occasionally I send you a message saying, "Oh, I've got this coming up. I'm wearing this tonight. I'm performing."
I love that when you do that.
Yeah,
that's great.
And it's something which perhaps almost more than any other occasion we really give some thought to.
Yeah.
So we thought it'd be nice to do.
It's not your everyday fragrance that you just sort of throw on in the morning. It's something that you just.
So it's not even for these clothes. These are our dress down clothes.
This is us actually like living like hobos in a box.
Yeah,
isn't
pretty
it,
much.
really?
Yeah.
When we dress up smartly, I think Daniel, Craig, and all those guys are pretty.
We're on that level.
They hate it. Yeah. That's why we don't do it.
Right.
So who wants to go first? Me or you?
I'm going to go first.
You go first.
So this is a formal fragrance which if you follow us on Instagram, so I posted the other day. So especially recently, I've been working at the Ritz Hotel in London a bit, which is obviously quite formal. So when I perform there, I'm either in black tie or white tie, and I like to choose something appropriate for the occasion. The Ritz opened in 1906, and this fragrance was released in 1904, and I think it's absolutely captures that Belle Epoque glamour. It's a fragrance we've mentioned in several videos before. It's one of my favourite fragrances. It's Mouchoir de Monsieur. So this is lavender bergamot with some tonka bean, some swimming florals and herbaceous notes, with this animalic heart. But it's not the most expensive fragrance I own. You can pick it up for £65 for 100ml,
which is an absolute steal.
But for me, it's
really
absolute class. It's
top 10 masculines of all time.
Definitely.
Isn't it?
I mean, it's so elegant. It's so refined. It's so special. It really doesn't. This isn't an everyday fragrance. This is not a jeans and t-shirt fragrance. This is really quite special and elegant, and it's one I save for formal occasions, and especially somewhere like the Ritz. I think it's absolutely perfect.
And it's worth saying, isn't it? Actually, before we get too into it, that a special place and a perfume combined actually does have an effect that's bigger than the sum of its parts.
It's a great memory.
Yeah,
and really.
That's it.
And a few of these as well. I've got ones which I've kind of chosen for people's weddings and things like that.
Yeah.
And I've now got a really kind of clear memory of that.
You've got to wear something great for my wedding next year.
Yeah, well.
Something filthy.
We
might be wearing the same thing.
I'll layer everything.
Martha might get confused. Right, so number 2.
No, just some perfume.
This doesn't smell anything like number 2, I should hasten to add. So this is my first little choice. So I keep going off camera, I must stop doing that. So for me, a similar vibe to the Ritz, but very often I play in these kind of gentlemen's clubs and city clubs and places on St James Street, and the thing that I associate with these places is leather, racing green armchairs, all that sort of jazz. I love it. If I could go back in time and plunk myself down with a cigar and a brandy, I would, and occasionally I do. So this is a slightly off the radar thing, which I don't wear very often, but when I do, I always enjoy it. And it's this bad boy here, Queer Ottoman, from Parfum d'Empire. So again, already the name has the connotations, doesn't it, of empire and gentleman's club. All the ladies in one room talking about whatever they're talking about, all the men sort of fixing the world. I don't agree with that personally. Go for it.
This for a while.
So there's a lovely sort of backseat Rolls-Royce leather with a bit of sweetness.
There's that real. There is sweetness, but it's so rich.
It's very well rounded into it. Yeah,
it's so luxurious and
a little iris.
Definitely iris.
Sort of chalkiness.
Oh God, I forgot how good that is.
It's good stuff, isn't it? I've only got a tiny little bit. I need to get another bottle, and I'm also. Another house which I think has got some real gems. Musk Tonkin, Tobacco Taboo is another great one.
And what's the champagne? The champagne good one.
Ombre Rousse.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Some lovely things.
Of that, it's just incredible.
Beautiful. But on a cold weather day, in a DJ, I love this stuff.
Yeah.
And occasionally it does make me feel slightly sleepy. Like I just want to plonk myself in an armchair
and just lay back and enjoy that. Right, I'm gonna stick with a similar theme. This is my fragrance, which makes me think of gentlemen's clubs. It makes me think of leather armchairs, of really dark varnished oak, of luxury. It is from the house of Trumpet. It's Le Jeu Sont Faits. It's not a house we've talked about very much.
No, have we even discussed this fragrance on a video?
No, I don't think so. But I mean, they've got. I mean, it's a great house. They also have a really, really great shop in London. But this,
really fantastic place.
But this is so the name Le Jeu Sont Faits means the game is afoot. So it suggests gambling. It suggests casino. It also, I think, for me, suggests something corrupt, something dangerous, something naughty.
Absolutely, there is something really dangerous about this, isn't there? There's something a little bit unnerving.
There's that kind of dark fruit and hint of cumin and a bit of more dark spice. It's interesting comparing it to that. This feels, it's just a bit darker and edgier and rougher. But if you're wearing black tie, it feels ultra masculine, ultra confident. Yeah. Really. I'm instantly taken
really
back
classy. There to like Casino Royale, and you're around the table, you're doing all the pleasantries and the smiling and the nodding, but you know that any minute now, this person may kill you, or vice versa. Yeah, it's got that little danger.
It's kind of dark and it's very, very serious. It's not playful. This is real serious.
The booziness, I think, is a great signature of this house. Yeah, Private Label has a similar thing.
Absolutely.
It's so sort of hypnotic in that sense. Absolutely wonderful.
Great stuff. Right.
Good choice, Dan.
What's your?
So next on my little list of tricks.
This is your actual number 2.
This is my actual number 2. Did I say number 2 at the start there?
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Oh no, because you've done number 1. I'm with you. So number 2 is.
I want to say Joe's going to great lengths to hide this from me,
because I don't want him to see it. So we're completely spoiled the surprise. Number 2 is classic reimagined. So the original came out in 1965. This came out in 2003, but I don't think I've talked about it yet on a vid.
No, we haven't mentioned it.
Abbey Rouge, but the EDP version, which again I class as a very formal fragrance compared to the EDT because it has more of the suede aspect, which I really enjoy. Do you have a little card? Give it a spritz. So this thing starts off for me with a lovely lemon, lime, orange, citrus. It's just very, it's very dynamic.
The start is very similar to the EDT.
Yeah.
But even already, it is a bit thicker. There's a bit more depth. And I think
the powderiness kind of has more weight to it somehow, rather than evaporating. It settles into the suede.
It's an amazing fragrance.
Beautiful.
It doesn't get talked about that much.
I mean, this thing here is like 30 something odd quid.
Yeah.
And it's a 100ml bottle, one of the great masterpieces of modern perfumery, I think.
I mean, if you when wearing that, you're not going to smell like. Again, this is not a jeans and t-shirt outfit.
No.
Really kind of.
It's a dressing up sort of fragrance. And in fact, there's a fragrance called Abbey Rouge Dress Code. For me, I've not really bothered with it because for me, this is my Abbey Rouge for those smart formal occasions.
It smells like it costs a lot more than it does.
Yeah, totally.
And as you say, I love the leatheriness which starts to develop. And
absolutely,
as with so many Gala fragrances, it's very complex. It's far, far from linear. You get so much with it.
In 2 hours' time, all that lovely bright lemon and lime orange has disappeared, and it's kind of slightly powdered suede, but you still get this little hint of sort of oranginess. The vanilla starts to warm up in the base. I love it.
Beautiful.
It's
great
such
stuff.
a cheapie.
Abbey Rouge by Gala.
What do we have?
Well, another one. So this is one that we have mentioned before. So this is in a slightly similar vein to my last selection. I mean, I guess you would expect a slight pattern to emerge when you're talking about fragrances for a similar situation. But this is another incredibly boozy, incredibly tobacco-y. I think I've said before. When I'm wearing it, it makes me think of Churchill or something like that. It makes me think of a big glass of whiskey and a big kind of smouldering cigar. But this is incredible performance of this fragrance as well. It's one of my favourite from the house, as we discussed when we talked about the house more. It is Tobacco Oud. From the house of Tom Ford. As I say, it's not.
Makes me sigh with pleasure.
The performance on this, for me, is absolutely incredible. Definitely the best performance from the house, and it's so dark and bold and rich and daring, but yet it feels classy, and I'm thinking again of this kind of gentleman's club, you know, with leather seats and dark wood, and it's something I love to wear a DJ with, you know, when I'm wearing a DJ.
Do you know, you're so right as well, because that thing, if you threw on a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and you went out and wore that, you might go, oh yeah, I'm really enjoying that, but the context would feel wrong.
Yeah,
it's all about the time and the place, isn't it? That thing, park yourself down in some dark old conservative club with the leather chairs and a brandy and a cigar. I guarantee you'd have a wonderful time. I mean, that's absolutely stunning, isn't it?
Yeah. One of my favourite from the house. Tobacco Oud.
Why does that not get more love?
I don't know. I do not know.
Absolutely massive.
Well, I wonder if because it is bold, I think this is a bit more challenging than some of the others. I mean, I guess Tuscan leather is quite challenging.
But that beats Tuscan leather for me. I think it's a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Especially now when Tuscan leather is so widely repeated and cloned. There's nothing like that out there today.
No, special stuff.
Beautiful. So,
You're number
4.
3.
I don't know why I'm counting.
No, you're number 3.
I am number 3.
Yeah.
Number 3 from me is... I've got a few in here, and I'm going to go with this bad boy here. From the wonderful house of Trumpers, you'll know what it is already. The wonderful sandalwood. I've almost finished this bottle, and I'm going to buy another one immediately. This is my 2nd or 3rd bottle of this stuff. But it's absolutely beautiful.
Class. It's one of the very best sandalwood fragrances. If you like Egoist by Chanel, for me, this is... certainly talking about the current formulation of Egoist, this is a better performing, more luxurious smelling, more complex. I just can't. I mean, how much is a bottle? Is it 50 quid?
No, I think 60? Even now 42, 43 quid you can get that for. But I might be wrong.
And the performance on this is extraordinary. This lasts all day.
It's an all-day job.
And it's so rich. The sandalwood lasts all day, and there's just bits of spice and bits of
creaminess of this. I love as well. You know, it feels like you got all this wonderful dynamism from the rose and the clary sage and the lavender. But once the sandalwood kicks in, it just takes you on this sort of creamy.
But again, it screams elegance. It screams tailored suits. It screams German Street or Savile Row. It's so nice to wear, and it makes you feel. This is quite comforting, maybe a bit more comforting than some of these other fragrances.
Yeah.
But yet it still feels special and formal.
Totally. And I think for me, I love this fragrance. I first smelt it on a conductor that I was working with. And he always smelled wonderful, and I said to him, "What are you wearing?" And he was Jerry Cornelius. I don't know if you watched.
Yeah.
And he pulled it out, and I smelt it. And I remember I was down in the orchestra pit, and I thought, that has just blown my mind. And I was obsessed with it for about 6 months before I actually bought it. Yeah. And I'll never ever be without a bottle of that stuff. I think.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. I love it.
And you can buy all the other gear, the shaving soaps.
Everything.
Have a sandalwood day.
Experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so my. Next one. So I'm going to the house of Abbey Rouge, which is
masters.
I think a lot of people would associate with luxury and as formal fragrances. This is. I get the impression this is one of the least popular from the house of Abbey Rouge, and it's certainly one of the fragrances I came to later. I think the first one I was interested in was probably Jubilation, because that gets talked about a lot. Then I went into the Blue Beast, tried a few others, really liked Memoir, also got Reflection. This is, as I say, one of the ones I came to later, and when I first smelt it years ago, I found it really difficult, but then I lived with the sample for a while, and I definitely find this the most luxurious, the most complex, the most beautiful. There's so much to it. There are a lot of florals, as well as that kind of incense you expect. But this feels
masters of incense.
This feels really the most luxurious. So this is Gold Man by Abbey Rouge. So you have this big peony note. You also have Lily of the Valley, and these other florals.
I've got to smell that. I've not had to try that for ages.
And this has a real classic feel. And it's, again, I'm thinking about somewhere like the Ritz. This is a real. That's really good. This is a real white tie, very formal. It's if I want to feel really special, really confident, and people, do compliment it. Like the opening can be quite powdery, but after that you just get these swimming florals, this real deep, complex, old school Chypre feel.
I have no hesitation in saying that is an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah,
just
it
no
really
hesitation.
I mean, you really, if you wear this, you will not smell like other people.
And it's on the right side, and this will sound weird, it's on the right side of pissy. You know what I mean? It's just, it's on the sensual side of it.
There's a hint, that kind of civet note.
Yeah, it almost harkens back to what I imagine Zhiki may have smelled like once upon a time.
But that's what, and it feels like old school time. It makes you think of big luxurious fur coats and big formal occasions. And I say, for me, this is actually more of a white tie than a black tie. You can't.
It's so luxurious.
This is so far from jeans and t-shirts. It's absolutely unimaginable.
You'd have to wear a baseball cap to be really smart.
I mean, this isn't an office scent at all. This is a real special occasion. You really want to feel special. You want to stand out. People will notice you because it's a big performer and it's not like an everyday fragrance. What year roughly was this? I mean, this was one of the 90s. This is one of the first ones.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
because that feels like a 100-year-old fragrance, doesn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
They've really said, let's go back in time, and they've been inspired by all of these great turn of the century classics.
I find it so complex when you wear it. You get so much from it. It's really, really special.
That should be in the Osmotek already, shouldn't it?
Yeah, amazing.
Oh, I've said this before, but I wish people could smell through the camera. Oh, stunning. Amouage gold. I mean, also we should hold up the bottle here. Look at that.
I mean, they're so bling. I mean, all the
How cool is that?
Especially this one because it has the metal down the line. Down the sides as well.
It's so beautiful. I mean, prize for best bottle already, I think.
I mean, they're so bling, aren't they?
So, this is one of the 90s ones, and they're still producing wonderful things, but they've gone in a different direction now, haven't they?
Things like
the vinyl imitation of vinyl records and stuff.
And with this kind of soil accord. Yeah. It's definitely kind of going into
But that's the heart of Amouage. If you were to say what's their true soul, that's it.
And this is a real East meets West as well. You've really got there's a sense of that it's a classic European chypre, whereas you've got that Amouage silver frankincense as well.
It's unmistakable. Oh my God, beautiful.
Right, you're number 4.
So I've got a toss-up between two, and I'm going to go with one of them in particular. So you may not associate this with formal, largely because the thing that this is inspired by is usually naked and rolling around in mud. But rhinoceros. For me, this doesn't smell of rhinoceros or poo or dung.
No, but it's fair to say that this is a beast.
This is an absolute beast. This thing for me is just all about. Well, it is about leather, but it's all about rum and leather and this old school sort of burying your head in a book chest kind of thing. Go for it. I love this scent so much. I've worn it now quite a bit, and every time I wear it, it fills me with new delights.
That leather is such a big punch.
It whacks you across the chops.
Again, you can't help but think of these luxurious aged leather armchairs.
Absolutely.
And wood, and there's also booze, but this
how far removed from
it's very, very, very different. This is a
different way to do leather.
This has got a lot of punch. This is much more kind of in your face confidence.
Yeah. This is animal
driving across a stage, proclaiming yourself.
I mean, if you're see what I do, I'm an accompanist, so I work with singers. I couldn't necessarily wear this as the accompanist because
upstaging.
I'd be about to play rack 3 and probably break all the strings on the piano with this thing. It's just immense. But it settles down. This is what I love. This is very modern in a sense, but then for me the dry down settles into this wonderful kind of again, like going back 50 years. For me, formal is all about like leather and booze, and maybe that's just because of the environments I've been playing in. But there's just this feeling of like again this old club and old carpets and old bookshelves that are covered in dust and old varnish that just sort of seeps into every fibre.
But there's something which feels kind of modern to it.
Yeah, totally.
As well, this doesn't feel.
It's not dated.
No, it's not dated at all. It feels confident and brash. Yeah, wow. That booze. God, it's amazing, isn't it? Right.
I love it.
So my last choice. So I said earlier there are some fragrances you think of wearing for special occasions. This is one which I wore to a very, very good friend's wedding earlier in the year because I really had to think about it. What I think is one of my absolute favourite fragrances. One of the kind of fragrances I wear very, very rarely actually because it is so special. Also, I haven't got that much of it and you can't buy it anymore. It's I think the most opulent fragrance I own. If you were being very, very, very simplistic, you would call it an oud rose combo, but that comes nowhere to describing what it smells like, because it's so complex. There's so many florals. So this is from the house of Abbey Rouge. It is Ottoman Empire, and you see I've not got loads of it, this will have to last me the rest of a lifetime. So this,
I mean, literally the rest of a lifetime, because this stuff isn't available anymore. This
is also, I mean, I'm going to, let's have a spray.
Can you spray 10 sprays into my mouth, please?
But this, we'll just have one. I mean, you can look at the colour on the card, it's completely changed colour. This is just an enormous, luxurious. And if whenever you describe performance as enormous, as kind of nuclear, you think of something brash and hard. But even from the opening, there's just this big melange of florals and woods. This swimming florals. I get a lot of that kind of frangipane is one I get right at the beginning. But you also get rose and so much else going on.
I cannot explain how beautiful that is. I can't even.
And the woods are very big, but you don't think that you're getting punched in the face by oud or any one.
You're being smothered by everything, aren't you? But nothing has any sharp edges.
And it's just, I think that's just when I wear it, it lasts forever, and loads of people, comment on it because you can smell it so strong. And it's more than any other fragrance I've talked about, where a black tie, white tie fragrance. This is, you need to be wearing a crown, really, like to wear
anything less.
You really do feel like a sultan, like a king, like an emperor. Gosh. It's so luxurious, and you just feel amazing. It's
so bespoke, isn't it? It feels like there's nothing else out there like this.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that a lot of fragrances, especially niche fragrances, high-end fragrances, are aiming for luxury, are catering for luxury. They want you to make you feel luxurious, and this. It's kind of luxurious times 1,000%.
I remember, I'll tell you a little story here. I remember being with you in Rome.
When in Rome?
When in Rome, you should always do as the Romans did. And Dan was walking ahead of me about 12 feet, and I could smell this thing just coming back. And it was mesmerising, absolutely mesmerising. And I've been obsessed by this ever since. Yeah. I can't get a bottle because he stopped making them, because he just, like you said earlier, we were talking about these, weren't we? He just
had a finite supply of the specific ingredients, and then they're gone. So,
I mean, that's like a priceless treasure.
But I've got to be honest. If you're talking about my 5 favourite formal fragrances, this is the one for absolute special occasions.
Yeah.
Really memorable. And we're also saying how you create a memory by I always. Of course, I'll remember this, my friend's wedding anyway, but also that fragrance is now associated with that.
Connections, yeah. And it's how we get into the fragrance game to start with, isn't it? Usually we remember the smell of
absolutely,
your classroom at school when you were in nursery, or that day that you went to that person's house and it smelled of...
Or a first date.
That's what it's about.
Also number 5.
Oh my God. Do I have a number 5? How many have I done? I've only done 4.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, I've got one more in the bag.
That's good. I mean, it's very impressive that we were managing to...
So my champion really was rhinoceros, but actually I've got 2 more here that were a bit of a toss-up between the 2. I'm going to go with another little cheapie we may have talked about this before, from the House of Caron, Troisième Homme, which I love. I consider it to be a beautiful formal fragrance.
Again, this is a fragrance which
I love
it smells. People compare it to Bois de Portugal by Creed. I find this much more interesting, much more complex.
I mean, straight out. I mean, you're probably obliterated by that wonderful masterpiece. But straight out of the thing there, the clove.
But there's also this
gentle floral
creaminess. This enveloping feeling of elegance.
And again, this is one that you spray on a card, for instance. And I immediately get dusty clove and some bright citruses, and within half an hour, the thing is just this liquid marshmallow wonderfulness. I can't explain it.
And again, it doesn't smell like your everyday fragrance. It doesn't smell like people on the street. It smells special. It's really one for
it's so beautiful.
For getting dressed up and really making.
It's it's well described in one of Luca Turin's guides as really handsome. And I think it is. It's a fragrance for a handsome guy or girl to wear, beautifully enveloping. And again, I know it's not all about cost, but this thing is a real cheapie.
Yeah.
This was like 25, 30 quid, I think.
Yeah.
And you got a great deal on one of these at once.
Yeah, I got it on eBay for about £9.
You nailed it. Oh my God. But check it out, because it's amazing. And I've smelled from a decant once upon a time a vintage version of this as well, which is incredible.
Yeah.
But this thing more than stands up to the times, you know.
So those are our 5 favourite formal fragrances.
Yeah.
And for once, we've actually managed to stick to the right
We've got 5.
number.
Do you have an honourable mention?
I don't know.
Me neither. So that actually
perfect.
works.
So we've nailed it.
5.
So comment underneath what you think, and also you know, you might have a different idea of a kind of formal occasion. As I said, we've got lots of things we wear for black tie, you know, white tie.
Yeah, they're kind of quite specific to our lifestyle, which is performing and being on stage and all that sort of stuff. So maybe formal to you is a different thing.
So
formal could be an office.
Let us know. Comment below and let us know. But until next time, happy sniffing.
Bye.